Start, huh? Okay, last session we saw how to write a class actually. We are actually seeing how to write a class. More clearly we went and we saw like a class contains members, the instance variables and methods. Okay, so the instance variables are used to store data and the methods are used to work upon the data. That's how they design the data type here. Okay, so one thing what we have to clearly follow here is in structured programming. Okay, so we have the data and that data will be shared at multiple places. Okay, but in object oriented programming that's not the case. Your data will be shared in only a particular location, that is called as a method. This will be the object, only the method can, a particular method can access it. So this is how it happens. Slowly you'll get the idea of this in object oriented programming what happens and in structured programming what happens. That's what we try to do. I'll be taking more in detail oops later. Okay, so this is the basic idea, difference between structured programming and object oriented programming. Basic difference, but it's a huge subject because it has come out of a lot of years of research. Okay, so a class helps you to do this kind of programming. A class data type helps you to do what? Not only class, even your subclass. So all these data types help you to do oops kind of programming. Abstract class, as well as the one more data type called as interface. So in Java, your user defined data type can not only store values, plus it can implement oops also. That's the best part of your user defined data type in Java. So even though it is so powerful, at the same time it is user friendly also. Okay, so what you do, you design a class, it will have the variables and the methods, and then later on you create objects and you start working with the object. So class is not physically existing, but objects are physically existing. So how you want your object to behave, in that way you have to design your class. Are you clear with this? So yesterday I wrote the class box. I'll just code and show you little about that and then we'll move to the next topic. Okay, so initially the previous class I had shown you how to hard code the values and work with the class. So today I'll cover of both. Which one? Assigning the values with dot operator, means storing the values inside the object using dot operator, as well as with methods. I'll cover these both. Any doubts here you can question, else we'll continue with the next topic. Clear? So this is where we have to reach actually. You have to clearly understand this. Now theoretically it's not like you understood this. We have to clearly understand what's the difference between structured and object oriented. We are trying to reach there. It will take some time. Yeah. So but to reach there, first you have to understand what is this data type, what it does and all that. More you're clear with this, those things will become easy. It will be a very simple cakewalk that time. So file new, you can write something like box demo. Any name you want, you give, that's your wish. So our user defined data, now we have to save it now. See, I'll write one more class. And you know this is a valid code now. The class can be what? Empty, no members. This is valid. See, I'll try to, if you try to compile, it still compiles, but there will be no members inside it. So always class is valid, means this is a valid class. A compiler will not check for what? This is not a syntax error. Okay, compiler checks for syntax. This is a valid syntax. Okay, but only thing is it's not having any members. Okay, so now there are two classes. What you have to understand is, now you have to save the file. Now one Java file can contain many number of classes. But generally we save the file name with the class which contains the main method, because to compile and execute we'll have to remember one name. The class name and the file name should be same. So I'll save this now. Class and members. You can give any name, good names you give. Class and members. Okay. Save the file. So if you want, I'll open the Windows prompt and show you. Retrieve, edit plus examples, August to Ravi Kumar, Java. You know, you go to the location and class members, see there's .java file. .java file is not executable. So to make it executable, what you have to do? You have to compile. See, it compiles. Perfectly it compiles, no errors, there are no syntax errors. Okay, your class is a valid class. This is a valid class. Even I'm not using it now. And when I compiled, you can notice there is a dot class generated now. 2 dot class have been generated. So in your Java file, how many classes will be there? Those many dot class files will be generated. And finally, it is these dot class which will get loaded into the JVM and objects get created. One by one the objects will be created. Okay. See, now also I can create an object of box class, but it will not have any member. What member will you access? Box B. B is equal to new box. I can create an object, but in that object what is the member? But it's valid code. Okay, it is still valid code. This is valid now. See this. Box B. B is equal to new box is valid, and you can print the address also if you want. Compiles, and now you can see it prints the address, but there are no members inside that. So it's highly valid. Are you clear with this? Okay, so this is one of the highly valid code now. And next box B is equal to new box. And if I try to print the same statement above, it gives me what? Not initialized. Error. Here it is error. Variable might not have been initialized. So are you getting it now? So this is how the class will be designed. So you can comment this or we'll remove it off only. Okay, this is one thing now. Next, we'll comment this and we'll start writing our class now. First, to work with the object, you have to design your class. How will you design it? Int W, correct? Int H, int D. So like this you can go on adding the members. And once you add the members, next how will you work with that? See this. Box B, B is equal to new box, and now value of B it will print, plus I can access the members. I can access it. And what will the members print? What will the value of WH be now? 0, 0, 0. You can check this out now. Value of W in B is plus what you have to do? Plus B dot W. So this is how you check actually. This is it will have the default values. Value of W, H and D is, check this out now. So it prints you 0, 0, 0. Okay. So it prints 0, 0, 0. And address also it's printing. See there? Box at the rate of, it prints the address also. So fine. So we created the object. Means what has happened in this line, a variable gets declared and then here memory gets allocated. Here memory gets allocated. Okay, so when the memory gets allocated, in that memory you'll have 3 variables, W, H and D, and the default values of that will be 0, 0, 0. And we are trying to access that value now. Means exactly what we are trying to say is B.W means in that address.W. In that address.W. B.H means in that address. What is address? It might be, what is address we are seeing here? Box at the rate of, in that address.W, in that address.H. We are trying to access it and the value is 0, 0, 0. Okay. But the same if you try to print these things without creating an object, this is error for you. Means B is not initialized. You got it now? So initialize it. And now this same, this is called as declaring a variable, reference variable, declaring a reference variable. This is called as creating an instance, or in Java terminology, object. So in this line the object gets created, and object is virtual, you can't see it. Objects are virtual, you can't see it, you can't see the objects, but you can work with it. Yeah, they have come into existence. You can work like this. How will you work? You will start accessing. Working with object is nothing but working with the members. Working with object is nothing but working with members. To work with the members we use the dot operator. As simple as this. Okay, and again, simple for you to understand, object is nothing but code coming into existence. You have written the code now, some code you'll write, and only you are bringing that code into existence. See, to execute there are two ways. One means you whatever you want to execute, write everything, then you execute. Write everything and then execute. Other way of executing is what? A code is already written, kept somewhere. Simply bring it into existence and execute. See, one option is you got this option. What is that? Write the code from the beginning. Okay, then you can execute. Another option is somebody has written the code, just bring it into existence and get it executed. Bringing into existence is only called as creating an object. Objects are nothing but bringing the code into existence. Simple. To make it very simple, what's an object? Understood? So in that object, so much of code will be there. You want to work with which code? That's member now. You start working now. And I worked. So what does it print? 0, 0, 0. So now I'll give a value. So what is the value I'll give? b.w is equal to 1. You can give any value. b.h is equal to 2. b.d is equal to 3. You are assigning the value. It overwrites. And once the value is assigned, again if you want, you can print the same 3 statements. What will it print? It prints address is same, and in that address the value is 1, 2, 3. Clear? So like this you can create the object and start storing the values. So these values will come dynamically. Why did I create an object? My intention was I wanted to store. I told you yesterday, before we began the class, I told you your user defined data type is used for two purposes. One is for storing values, second one is for implementing oops. So here in this example, concentrate on storing values, don't bother about oops now. Okay, I want to store 3 values, I am storing it in this memory location now. Again 3 more values will come, what will you do now? You can store it. Okay, but let's see now, after storing, we can write the logic. Now I want to calculate the volume of the box. So how will you calculate the volume of the box? Very simple. Int vol is equal to, see now, we are using the value stored in the object for processing something. But you know there's a drawback. Value is stored in that object, but we are using in this another class. So anyway, we'll avoid all this. The value is stored in the object, but we are trying to get that value and use it in some other location. So what to do now? We have to use dot operator. If you want to use the value, we have to use dot operator. See this, we can still use it. b.w into b.h into b.d. Valid now. I'm trying to use the value which is stored in the object outside now. So I'm using it. So once I do it, so now the value will be calculated. Now I can print the value. Volume of box B is plus what? You can print now. Wall. Finished. So we can see now how we are trying to use this value for processing. I stored the values. They come dynamically, don't worry. But I can use it for processing like this. Correct now? So store the values and use it for processing. Store the values, use it for processing. You are neatly organizing your storage. Once you get the value, you have to organize like this. Same thing you can do for what now? One more object. So box B1 now. What happens? One more variable. B1 is equal to new box. Again, what will be the address? Different address. What will be the value of W, H and D? 0, 0, 0. If you want, you can give a different value. See now what value I given B1 is not affecting B, because they are two different memory allocations. And the values which I give now, these values, as I keep telling you, they come dynamically. Do not bother about that. Understood? They will come dynamically. 4 into 5 is what? Okay, anyway, we'll calculate volume later. So it will be stored dynamically, and now earlier it was 0, here it would have printed you 0, but now it prints you 4, 5, 6. Now I can calculate the volume. B1, B1, B1. Done. So once this is done, it will be stored in this variable. If you want, that old value will be overwritten now. What was the earlier value of all? 6. That will be overwritten with this new value. Okay, if you want both the values, then use another variable. Assignment operator, what it does? Always it overwrites the value from the right hand side to the left hand side variable. It's a very powerful operator which assigns the value. It does not care whether the variable on the left hand side is having a value or not. It simply overwrites. So anyway, that is done, and you can get now, what is the answer you get? 4 into 5. 20, 20 into 6, 120 will be the answer. Perfect. So you have to change the value here. Okay, sorry, B1, 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 B1. Yes, everything is done, and you can print it now. Sorry, done. So you can check. Okay, here also in the print statements, you can change value of B1, 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 B1. It is printing correctly. Only the print statements are bad. So everything is perfect now. So sorry, here also I didn't change. Everywhere you change. Okay, now it's perfect. So value of B is one address. That address you can see, and along with that you can see these are the values. This is the same address. In the same address I gave these values. New address got allocated. Again it is 0 there. Again in that address I'm storing 4, 5, 6, and then finally calculating the volume. So these values will be coming dynamically, and you go on storing it. Are you clear with this? Okay. So now you have understood this. I'll comment all this. Now one more thing what you can see here is few more things. So here in this example, what did you understand? How to design a class, how to create object, how to put values into the object, and how to use the values stored in the object. That's the summary of this. That's the summary of this. Okay, along with that, some more things we'll see now. See this. Some more topics you see, very interesting now. Box. You are declaring a variable now. Box B. Then you are writing what? B is equal to new box. Valid code. 100% valid code. But these two lines can be written in a single line also. This is also highly valid code. No issues. Like, what is happening? Right hand side gets executed, memory is allocated, directly it is given to that variable. That's it. If you want to make it very precise, clear, see this. Int z is equal to int z I'll declare, and later on I'll tell what? Z is equal to 6. Valid, no? So declaring and initializing. So here what you are doing, you are declaring, and here you are initializing. But the same can be done in what? In a single line by saying int z is equal to 6. Valid, no? So same way you can do it for what? This one. Only thing is, here you are giving a primitive value, here you are giving a reference value. Clear? Okay. So then next, this is nothing but declaring and creating an instance and initializing. In one line it happened. Getting it now? Declaring, creating an instance and initializing. Are you clear with this line? Declaring, creating and initializing and initializing what? Initializing the variable. Or which one? The reference variable. Some more points, just you observe. Are you clear with this? Okay, then one more thing. So this is how it works. You can compile, it compiles perfectly. Sorry, B is already been defined. Means, sir, what I am doing here is I am declaring again, and I am see, in one scope you can declare a variable only once. In one scope, no, you can declare a variable only once. You can use it 1000 times, but declaration should happen only once. Means, if this is one scope, anything it can be M1. But just see the brace now. If I declare int a here, I can say a is equal to 5, a is equal to 9, a is equal to 10, I can use it. But again if I try to redeclare, I'll get error. So declaration is possible only once. Using, you can use it any number of times. So here the same problem had happened. Box P was already declared. But again as I am trying to declare it now, so that is why I was getting the error. So in one scope you should declare a variable only once. These are very common mistakes what you do. Okay, are you clear with this? So this is a correct code now. Here also you'll get the error. Z has already been declared. Yes or no? So this is valid code now. I'm just comparing primitive with user defined type. This is valid code, and you can work with this. So you can write it in a single line also. Are you clear with this? So I just gave you an idea of how to work with user defined types now. So anyway, so we saw how to let's come back to the previous concept what we are learning. We saw how to create a class, how to create object, and how to store the value. In this example, I am storing values using what? Dot operator. I am assigning values using dot operator. Fine. Now what is the problem with assigning with dot operator? I might forget to initialize somewhere. So that's the reason it will be a problem. Okay, other thing is redundant coding. Again and again you have to initialize. 3 values we can do it, but supposingly there are more instance variables in your class, then it becomes a headache. So that's when we start writing what? Methods inside the class. So the methods written inside the class are used to work upon the instance variables. The methods written inside a class will generally be working on what? The values stored in the instance. The instance variable will be holding value, no? It will be used to work upon that. So let's see now how it will be done now. So now initialization, I'll go with methods now. Initialization, I'll go with methods. Do you have any questions in this example? In this example, assigning the values using dot operator. In this example, if you have questions, ask. Assigning the value with the help of dot operator. Any questions you are having, ask. Methods next I'll take. After that you can ask questions on that. Here any questions? Okay. So next we'll see how to assign the values to the object using what? Methods. Okay. So now again file, new, Java. Okay. So now box demo we already written. Okay. So class member member demo. You can give your own class names, that's your wish. Class box, yes. So what are the members you'll have here? These are going to be common now. I'll just copy paste it. You have to save now first, yes. Class and members. So I'll be initializing the values with the help of what? Methods now. Or I could have named it as better method demo. Okay, I named it as method demo. Let's compile. The program is compiled. So method demo.class, method demo.java. The earlier box.class is there now. It has been overwritten now. Because same class we are using here. So it overwrites. Are you following now? Means we are having one class here. If you compile this program, I'll show you. Actually, don't get confused. Okay. So fine. This is a class. I'll talk about that later. So now we want to add members. So one of the member I'll add now, that is void fun. But this method needs parameters, int x comma int y comma int z. So this method requires only parameters, but it does not require a return type. Reason is we are not going to return a value from the callee to the caller. But yes, I do need the parameters because I want to send the values from caller method to callee method. W is equal to x, h is equal to y, d is equal to z. Highly valid code. Now let's see how to work with this. So now I'll compile and now we can work with this. But anyway, we are not still using it. It's only been defined. We have to start using the user defined type. So how you use the user defined type now? Box B. We'll still go with 2 lines only. Just I showed you because we have to study more things here. We can do it in a single line. It's not an issue. Okay, but I'll keep doing it in 2 lines. Box B, declaring a variable, creating an instance. Once I create the object, all the members will come into existence. And to work with the members, what will I use? Dot operator. So now what will I do? I'll just copy paste these few lines of code. See, box B, B is equal to new box. And if you want, you can print what? B.w means it will be 0 0 0. Now instead of doing this to initialize, what will I do? I'll simply call b dot fun, that's it, and I'll pass the values 1 comma 2 comma 3, finished. Understood? B dot fun 1 comma 2 comma 3. Then how will I code? Afterwards in the same address, if I print b dot w, b dot h, b dot d, what will be the answer? 1 2 3. And then I found I can calculate the volume. Okay, so then volume of boxes, same thing I'm doing. Only thing is I'm initializing with the help of methods. No change. There's literally no change. We are only initializing the values with the help of methods. Are you clear with this? Okay, focus on initializing. Okay, so then next, if I want, I can create. Okay, let's work with this now. Control 1. Okay, and see one more thing. Before initializing, if you try to calculate the volume, what will be the result? 0. That also you know. Means don't try to use the object without initializing the or storing the values inside the object. You can print this. Volume of box B is what it will print earlier? 0. Sorry. Okay, so volume I declared twice. Volume of box B is, it will print 0 0 0. Volume of box also, what's it printing? 0. In the same address I'll fill the values. Next volume will be 6. So do not try to use an object without storing a value into the object. Clear this? Okay, so if you want, you can create one more object now. What will you create now? Same story. What will you do? Everything is same. I'll copy and paste the previous program. Are you following now? If I copy and paste, box B1 is equal to new box. B1 dot W 0 0 0. Everything is same. Only one thing will change now. Instead of initializing like this, I'll say B1 dot fun and I'll say 4 comma 5 comma 6 over. That's it. So 4 5 6 are what? Arguments. And x y z are what? Parameters. So if I want to send value from main method to fun method, that is caller calling the calling method, I'll use arguments, and parameter receives them, and then it will process the value. Yesterday I explained you this now. Yes or no? Clearly in diagram wise I explained to you how it is happening. So very clearly you're getting the idea now. Are you clear with this? You still want me to show the diagram, huh? So when you create the object, it is there, call the method and it will invoke the method, send the arguments, the parameters will accept it, and the parameters, what they'll do? They'll initialize the instance. Means the value of the parameter is given to what? Instance variable, and WH and will be initialized now. Initially it will be 0, but later on it will be okay 0 0 0. See, B1 is also 0 0 0. Next time it will be 4 5 6, and then you can calculate the volume. Perfect? Yes. So in this example, what is the concept you are seeing now? How to store the values using the methods. So you store, that is done. Next, to use the value stored in the object, one small mistake we are doing. You are using the value stored in the object in another location. Where? Main method. That should not happen actually. OOPS does not encourage that. OOPS does not encourage. Object oriented programming does not encourage a value stored in one object to be used in some other location. It does not encourage. It says if you want to use the value, use it in the same location where you have stored. That's what OOPS says. Okay, so that's what you mean by binding data and behavior. Okay, if you want to calculate the volume, calculate it in the same location. Don't access the value outside like this and then calculate the volume. That's the OOPS problem now. So one way you can see from the architecture point of view. Another way you can talk as reusability point of view. Reusability. See, every time I have to calculate the volume, I have to write this logic again and again. No? So instead of writing this logic again and again, write it in a method. So I will write it in a method, but this time I am not going to keep the method in the class containing main method. I'll put this, see, till now we have written methods and all the methods were kept in the class containing main method. But this time I'll keep this method in the demo class. Where data is there only I'll put the method. So we go on organizing methods like this. We'll write one method, but you should know accurately that method you put it in which class. Some methods will put it into this class, another method will put it into this class. So this is how you go on organizing your class now. Okay, and gradually you'll get the idea. Okay, it takes time because we have designed only one data type. More data types we design, then you'll clearly understand. Okay, this method will be in this class, this method will be in this class. We'll write methods, but that method will be kept in the particular classes. Okay, so just that is oops now. Again, don't worry, but just focus now. Your class can contain what? More members. Okay, I have written one method now. Next, one more member I'll write now. Int volume. So why am I writing this? Because to reuse the logic. To reuse, first I'll keep it as void, and then I'll make the return type void. So right now I don't want to return any value, so I can declare a variable int L. So L is equal to, see now, if you want to access the the instance variables in the same class, I'm not using what? Dot operator. I'm not using the dot operator. Am I saying b.w, b.h and all? No, inside the class you work with what? Directly. But if you want to access the same member outside the class means what? The members of box class have been accessed in demo class. One class is trying to access the member of another class. That is when you use variable dot. Variable dot means b dot, b1 dot you'll access. But inside the same class, directly you'll write like this. And now you can print also. What will you print? Volume of, but I can't print the volume of box b1 here, because the same print statement will come. So I have to say what? Volume of box is plus L. I can do this. Now instead of doing this, I'll simply, initializing is done now. To calculate the volume, all I'll say is what? B dot volume. Same way here. Here also, don't write this 2 lines. Simply you can say b1 dot volume. Oh, that is before, no? Okay. Before it will be 0. Before initializing. After initializing it will print the value. Same thing will happen now here also. That's it. Volume, first time it prints 0. Next time in the same object it prints 6. Because for box I am printing it twice. Okay, for B1 it is printing 120. As simple as this. Clear this? So here means the idea is what? Where you have got the value, use the value in the same location. Means I am using processing WHND now where? Inside the same class, not outside the class. I am not processing WHND. Earlier we are processing the values of WHND outside. That is from OOPS point of view. Now, if you talk from reusability point of view, what we do? We write methods. Instead of, see, there are 2 dimensions you have to see, but they are completely different. Okay, one is if you want to reuse any logic, we write methods. So to reuse also I am writing a method, and at the same time one more point what you are saying is OOPS point of view also. Where data is there, write the logic there itself. That's what we say. So now that is why we have to write a method now. But to write the method, we'll write it inside the class box. To write the method, we'll write it inside the class box. Understood now? Because 2 points of view. One, to reuse, I would write a logic. Another, OOPS says what? Write the logic where your data is stored. So that's why I'm writing it here. I'm writing a method, plus I'm keeping it in a location where my data is kept. Both the dimensions are clear now. Yeah? And we can use it. But it becomes more clear as we progress. Don't worry. Okay, so this is it now. So then next I can use it. But the problem is now I want to use the volume in some other class. I want to use the volume now in some other class. So see, generally we do not give access to instance variables. Generally we should not give access to instance variables like this. We should not access instance variables like this. b.w, b.h. But sometimes it so happens L is not an instance variable. It's a local variable. That value we want to give it to some other location. See, there are 2 ways you have to understand. If you want to access the instance variable, there is an option. You have to use the dot operator. Directly you can access it. But if you want to access the value stored in a local variable, you can't access it. So you have to return it only. So value stored in an instance variable can be accessed directly, but the value stored in a local variable has to be returned. Okay, this is how we work. But again, practically what happens is, even though value stored in the instance variable can be accessed with dot operator, we generally avoid it. We generally avoid it. Why and all we'll discuss. Okay, we generally avoid it. Clear? But the value stored in the local variable, we will need it. But how do you access it now? You cannot access the value stored in local variable with dot operator. So obviously I have to return the value. So how will I return it? You know now. Because I want that value where? In the caller method. And the return type now becomes what? Int. As simple as this. Because I am returning an int value. So now when you call the method, yes, you can accept int val is valid. And now I can print the same print statement. Yes or no? First time it prints 0. Next time it prints what? 6. Then again, means for that is for B. Next again I can do it for what? B1 also. That's it. This is also valid code. Now that value is assigned this side and I can accept it and print it. Same output. Are you clear? So all this you understood now. More things we'll see. See this and all you can access. Now we'll forget about that. We'll comment all this. Now we'll try to access the non-members. Till now I was accessing what? Members of the class. Which are the members of the class? 3 instance variables and 2 methods. I can access all of them. But which are the non-members? Parameters as well as local variable. Parameters are local to what? This method. Okay, parameters are also called as local variables. But a local variable is not a parameter. L is a local variable, but is it a parameter? No. And can I access L in this location? Can I access L in fun method? No. Can I use wx and xyz in volume method? No. But instance variables can be accessed everywhere inside the class. Understood? Instance variables can be accessed everywhere inside the class. So then what happens? This is fine. But the question is now, using the dot operator, can I access what? So I'll try to access here. X, Y, Z. Don't worry about the print because value of X is I can change it. Don't worry about the print. But I'm trying to access what? X, Y, Z. You can, if you want, you try to access even what? L. None of them are accessible. This is one of your prime mistake in programming. One of the prime mistake in programming is what? You'll create the object, but you try to access the non-members. Cannot find X, cannot find Y, cannot find Z, cannot find L. And you will look for what? Semicolon. Understood? So when an object is created, you can work only with the members of the class and not with the non-members. You understanding what are the non-members inside the class? Clear? So only you can work with the members. So dot operator is purely used for working with the members of the class. Any questions here in this example? Any questions in this example? So this is what I covered yesterday. Understood now? These are the topics. So you should program like this. That's it. Hardly half an hour coding. That's it. If you don't code that much also means what? It will be difficult later. Understood? You see video, you'll understand everything. There's no problem with that. But when you sit coding, problems will start. So that's the reason, practice coding. In company, you will not be seeing video. You'll be actually coding. So practice it from now because bigger programs you can write better. It is so simple. Working with the user-defined data type is so simple in Java. Imagine, in 20 days you are already working with what? A user-defined data type in Java. But in C, to work with a user-defined data type, not possible. It will take minimum 3 to 4 months for you to study what? To start the topic of structure. 3 to 4 months. It is that complicated. Clear? So now what are the topics we covered generally? How to store values and how to process. Processing values should happen in the same class or same location where you have stored. Okay, that is OOPS. And don't bother about OOPS much. I'll be coming to OOPS topic. But at least you are getting the idea of how to write a class now. It will contain instance variables, it will contain methods. Focus on that. Okay, it will contain instance variables and it will contain methods. We create an object and we start working with the, what is that? Members using the dot operator. As simple as this. Clear? Clear this? Okay. Now we know we can initialize the values of the instance variables in 4 ways. What is that? Hard coding, dot operator, methods, One more is constructor. Constructor, we'll keep it aside now. We'll go with still in depth into how to write a methods. Constructor will be seeing next class. Okay, because we are getting now doubts to how to write a method now. I told you, writing method is always a big thing. It is not so easy. You neglect methods. Okay, that is the reason you find programming very difficult. So minimum I'll be taking you around, it's not like 1 class, 2 class, we'll learn how to write a method. In C, you know, you learn how to write a function. Okay, but you think that, okay, writing a function is easy, but writing a function is very difficult. Okay, but in Java they call it as method. And the method writing is so important because, why it is so important? Because it is containing reusable logic. So instead of writing it again and again, that code, what we do, we write it and put it inside a method. Methods are nothing but group of statements which are reusable. Whenever you want that code, you can call that, all the statements inside that will get executed. Very simple. Okay, but writing it is very calculative. So you should spend lot of time in writing methods. Lot of time, not one. And how many methods you write, that better you can understand how to write methods. You already seen return type parameter. But now suddenly if you see return type and parameter, it's looking something different here. Understood? Suddenly it's looking little different. Different means what? We have started using it in a class. Understood? And to initialize the instance variables, we are using the parameters. Understood? To return the value from the calling method to caller method, we are using return type. So more ideas you'll get. So today also I'll continue to teach you how to write a method inside a class itself. How to write a method inside a class itself. Then we'll continue with what? Constructor. So that we'll keep it aside now. So today we'll be seeing how to write methods inside a class. Are you clear now? Still we'll continue. And this will bring us to the topic of a new thing now called as polymorphism. So slowly, one side I'm teaching you how to store values also. Little by little I'm teaching you oops in class also now. So yesterday I covered encapsulation. Writing the code inside a class is only called as encapsulation. Okay, so oops, one side we are seeing oops, they are moving parallelly. One side storing value, other side oops. So today I'll go with one more oops concept called as polymorphism. Okay, we'll be starting that now. Are you clear with this? These questions, if I got anything, questions they will be cleared. Only because it's a subject which is opening up, you might get questions. But definitely I'm going to teach what a class is nearly 5 to 6 days. When I cover it in 5 to 6 days, the entire class becomes very clear to you. Understood? It will become clear to you. You don't have to worry about that at all. So I'll continue with polymorphism now. See, as I keep telling you, see again, let's go back to the little normal basics. A class data type is used for 1. Storing values. We are seeing this also. At the same time, it can be used for implementing what? Oops also. 2 things. Okay. In oops there are 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So like encapsulation. Little I covered. I'm not saying I finished encapsulation. Just introducing. I used a class for doing what? Encapsulation. Okay. You can use a class for doing abstraction. Abstraction topic I'll talk next. But I can use it for doing what? Polymorphism also. Okay, at the same time we can use it for doing inheritance also. Okay, in one day only we cannot cover all the 4. Okay, so today I'll go with polymorphism. Clear? So how to write methods inside a class, that's what is the topic now. How to write methods. You have got doubts in methods now. Are you getting doubts in storing values? You are not getting questions in storing values. You are getting questions on what? How to write methods inside a class. That's why I'm covering that topic. The next immediate doubt what you're getting is, I know that very clearly. It's about methods. How to write methods inside a class. That's your immediate questions what you're having. So I'll be covering that. So that will only lead us to the topic of polymorphism. In polymorphism, there are 2 types of polymorphism. Okay. One is compile time polymorphism. And the other one is runtime polymorphism. So this is there in oops concept. Java supports both In OOPS, these two polymorphism are there. One is compile time, other one is runtime. And Java supports both. But now I'll be going with only compile time. Understood? Now I'll be going with only compile time concepts. Clear? Okay. Shall I clear all this now? So polymorphism will start off. You might think it's a very big subject. Within 1 hour polymorphism will be over now. See how fast we can finish off. Okay. So it's a very simple concept now. Are you clear with this? Shall I clear? First of all, what is polymorphism now? I had given you the definition. What is the definition I had given you? One form behaving differently in different situations. One form behaving differently in different situations was the general. If you remember, I had shown you one document. Remember that? I had asked you to write it up. And always refer to this. This is only OOPS definition. Okay, this will be used consistently, and I am teaching you this 4 OOPS concepts only. I am teaching you these 4 OOPS concepts only. So you should be aware of this, and you will not understand these 4 concepts in one go now, because this is theoretical. So we have to get into it practically. Yeah. So we'll see that. So the topic would be, see, polymorphism is a Greek word. Poly means many, morphism means form. It's a Greek word. Okay, and you can see what are the different OOPS. See, one form being different in different situations is called polymorphism. Polymorphism is extensively used in implementing inheritance. We'll see inheritance later, but it helps in static and dynamic binding. This is the topic. Encapsulation also I explained you little. Okay, like this you make a note of all this. So in interview it will be helpful for you. What is encapsulation? You can use these words to explain it very clearly. Fine. Anyway, leave this. Okay. So many form. So again, in this there are 2 types of polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. Second. We will not be covering runtime polymorphism. So this concept is also known as overloading. This concept is also known as overloading. This concept is known as overriding. Okay, overloading now. Overloading is again of 2 types. Understood? Means generally I am talking in OOPS, they talk like this. You can do method overloading. Plus you can do operator overloading. Okay, 3, I think we can take it as 3. Method overloading, constructor overloading. Don't worry about what is constructor overloading right now. After constructors we will see it. One more is operator overloading. So today I'll cover this and this, constructor and operator. Okay, but fact is Java supports method overloading, plus Java supports constructor overloading. Java does not support operator overloading. This is what you have to understand. Java does not support. This is OOPS concept, but C++ is supporting that. Understood? C++ is supporting that. That is a drawback. We'll see that later. What is the drawback and why Java is not supporting this? We'll see this. This does not. Remember that. So today I'll cover these two. Yeah. So first I'll start off with what? Method overloading. Okay. It's also known as compile time polymorphism. Very simple. And almost all you already know what is overloading because we are very good in which one? Type checking. You'll understand now why Java is so strict in type checking. Clear this? One of the reasons why Java is strict in type checking is most of the errors it wants to detect during runtime and doesn't want to pass the values at runtime. Wrong values at runtime. That is one reason. And one more reason why is Java strictly type checked is because it's to support overloading. It has to support polymorphism. That's why it's strictly type checked. Okay. Shall I clear this now? Okay. So next we'll see how to write a class, and in your class we'll start overloading methods. So when you write a class, yes, we are going to write methods now. We are going to write plenty of methods. Yesterday we wrote 2 methods. Not 2, you can write any number of methods. There is no restriction that you have to write 1 method, 2 method. When you can write 1 method, obviously you can go on writing any number of methods. So now in polymorphism we are talking the subject of method overloading. Now what is method overloading? Next. Method overloading is nothing but having multiple methods with the same name but change in parameters. As simple as this. Method overloading is nothing but having multiple methods, many methods with the same name but change in parameters. Mandatory there should be a change in parameters. What change we'll see now with program only. Theory wise, that is theory. Next we have to understand that with example itself. Okay. So method overloading is a concept of what? Having multiple methods with the same name but change in parameters. Let's see now. Class hello. You can give any name to your class. Valid it is. You can give any name to your class, it is valid. It's not that you have to give box and all that, any name. And remember, sometimes when you write a class, they can have instance variables, they might not have instance variables. Both is correct. Okay, they might have instance variables, they might not have instance. They might have methods, they might not have methods. They might have both also. They might have, they might not have. It depends, it's a logical construct now. So in this example we'll see now there are no instance variables. Because why I don't need any instance variables here? I don't want to store any value inside the object. So when you do not want to store any value inside the object, plainly you'll write what? A simple class. But you can write some logic inside this class. Okay, are you following now? So this is how the story will start now. You can have variables, you might not have variables, instance variables. Okay, you might have method, you might not have method. So when to have, when not to have, that's the question. Gradually with more classes we write, you'll understand it. Okay, that's why we are seeing more classes. More and more classes we see, more and more better ideas get about writing classes. So now see, one of the method I'm writing here is void test. You can write any method name, that's an identifier. And I'll write SOP, no params. There are no parameters inside this. So in our class there is no instance variable. Noticing? Not required. If you need, you write, otherwise leave it. Understood? But there is a method and there says there are no parameters. Now next I'll write one more method, but look at the method name of the method, int a. So the name is same. The name is same, but there is change in parameter. What is the parameter of type? There is one int a. Fine now? There is one int a. So I'll write SOP value of int a is plus a. Simple. Then if I want, I can write one more method, void test. You see, initially you will not understand what's the advantage of this. First I'll complete the example, we'll see the output, then you will understand whether it is beneficial or not. Understood? So void test, I'll write one more method now. I'll write it as double D int a. SOP, okay, 1 second, int a double D int. See now, here, now there is one A here, there is one more A I have used. Possible. But this A is local to this scope, this A is local to this scope. When you are using A here, it will not use this A. When you are using A here, it will not use that A. They are local. Understanding now? Okay, that scope is very important. Value of int A and double D is plus A plus D. You can print. So now don't bother about logic. I am not writing logic inside the methods. We are seeing the invocation. When you call which method gets executed. We are more concentrating on that. So once you know how to execute your methods, writing logic is a very easy thing now. Okay, next I can write one more method. Void test. What I'll write? Double D int A. SOP value of double D and int A is plus D plus A. Fine. If I want one more method, I'll write void test and I'll write double D. Value of double D is plus D. Value. So how many methods are there in my class now? Count. This is 1, this is 2, this is the third method, this is the fourth method, this is the fifth method. All the method names are same now. But where is the change? The change is in the parameter. How is the change in the parameter? Here there are no parameters. Here there is one parameter. Here there are 2. 0, 1, 2. So number of parameters is the difference. Okay, here also 2, here also 2. But order is changed. Here it is int A double D, here it is double D int A. Okay, so either number of parameters or order of parameters or number is same. Here also 1, here also 1. Type is different. What is the type? Here it is int, here it is double. So the change in parameters should happen. It can happen only in 3 ways. The change in parameters can be what? One is number of parameters. Then is order of parameters, or okay, number data type of parameter, number data type of parameter, and the last one would be order of parameter. So you can see the method names are same. I am not saying no, but there is definitely a change in the parameter. You cannot have 2 methods with the same thing. Okay, it can be int a different name only, int Z. But here we are looking for what? These 3 things, not name of parameter. Name of parameter doesn't come into picture here. Number, order and type. So this is error. Why it is an error now? Can you guess? In one scope, you are declaring 2 things of the same type. When you can't declare a variable inside one scope. Okay, where is the question of declaring a method now? Can I do it twice? No. So where is the question of declaring a method? So in one scope you can declare anything only once. Okay, there should be a change in parameter, compulsory. Otherwise it will give error, syntax error. Okay, always see this is one scope now. Hello is one scope. From this scope to this scope, what is the problem now? You are having 2 methods with the same name of type parameter int only. This is error. It will not allow you. I will show you this while programming. I will show you. So compulsory there should be change in parameter. So we are working with the signature of method. If you remember, I told you one thing. When you write a method, name and body is very easy. Parameter and return type is only a headache. And we continue with that. What are we continuing now again? Parameter only. It's a big subject. Okay, and parameter usage, you know, what is the usage of a parameter? It is used to send values from caller method to callee method. More than that, nothing else. Okay, it is used to send values from caller method to callee method, or argument is used, it is you are sending the value stored in the argument to the parameter, same. Okay, but that is why use of parameter, but parameter subject is also very big. Okay, so when you are writing parameters, okay, so here the story is all methods are having the same name. What is the name of the method? Test, 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 everywhere it is test, but definitely there is change in parameter. Now which method gets executed? Let's see. Have you understood the class? Now there is one big thing what you have to understand. Next big thing, to work with object, you should know how your class has been designed first. Only if you know your members properly, then only you can work with what? The object properly. Otherwise it's impossible to work with the object. Okay, if the member is there, you can access it with dot operator. If it is not there, you will start getting errors. So before you work with the object, first understand the members of your class properly. Okay, means if you want to use a data type, you should know the data type properly now. Without knowing the data type, how will you use it? If you want to use int data type, first you have to study it now. If you want to use double data type, you have to study it now. Same way, if you want to use hello data type, you have to first study it. Only then you can use it. Yeah? So overloading will always depend on these three criteria. Overloading always depends on these three criteria. Means which method is going to be invoked or executed depends on what? The number of arguments you pass, or the data type of argument you pass, or the parameter, what is that? Order of parameter what you pass. So we are going to call now, there are 5. I'll call the method with the same name, but definitely there will be change in what? Arguments. So which one is matched, that it will get executed. Very simple. Understood? So criteria for overloading we say. What is the criteria for overloading? The criteria for overloading is number of parameter, order of parameter, and the data type of these three. And one more thing, we'll come back to this point later. Return type, or we can write it separately only. Return type does not play a role. You can write it as a note rather than putting it there. I'll explain this point to you later. Return type does not play a role in overloading. Does not resolve or does not play a role in method overloading, or it will not participate. Return type does not participate. Simple word. Okay, we'll see this point note you leave. First we'll cover off the 3, then we'll come to this point. Return type doesn't play a role. Right now we are not having any return type. All our return type was what? Void. That we'll see later. Clear? Okay, shall we execute this program now? Means we'll see this. I'll write the code now. Let's see the code now. Class demo. This is the client code. Now main method will use the data type. Yes or no? Main method is going to use the data type. How it will use now? Hello h. You are declaring a variable. Declaring a variable doesn't mean that object has got created. You are only declaring a reference variable. This reference variable has the ability to store the address of the object what you create. Okay, so I'll say h is equal to new hello, valid code. An object gets created. Once the object is created, next I can call the methods. Okay, so which method I'll call? ch.test. Which one will be called? Among the 5 methods. It's very clear now. This will call the first method. It's very clear. There's no confusion only. h.test. I'll pass 5, 9.2. Which method will be called? Third method. Int and double. Okay. I'll call h.test. You can call any method. 5.6, or any double value pass. 7.8, 2. So which method will be called? Fourth. And if I call h.test and I'll pass only one double value, 5.6, which method will be called? Fifth. Very simple. That's it. So there's no confusion only. You have written it. But the compiler knows, or during runtime, which method has to be executed. JVM will decide it. Now which method has to execute? One more thing. It is decided at compilation time. Which method has to be exactly executed during runtime. There are 2 phases of a program execution. One is compilation phase, other one is runtime phase. Okay, compiler will compile and convert it into low level code. Okay, some executable code. It will convert it into some executable code. But during runtime is when the code gets executed. So when a compiler is compiling this, it starts binding. It starts binding. Okay, that's okay. It starts binding. What it binds? That during runtime or during execution, this one will execute the first method. This one will execute the third method. Like how you are telling now, it will decide during compilation time and it binds. It will bind it during compilation time. And during runtime, what happens? When the program goes on executing, directly the first method will be called. Here, when it comes to this line now, first method will be called. When this is come to this line now, third method will be called directly. Here it comes fourth. Here it comes fifth. Directly it will call during runtime. But supposingly I write a method like this, h.test 10, 20, 30. I'll get error. When will I get the error? Compilation time. It's very clear now. Okay, so when I say h dot test and if I pass some different arguments which is not matching, you'll start getting an error. That's one of the example. You can pass anything. Okay, so it will get error now. It cannot execute any method, and this error is reported during compilation time because it cannot bind. Binding cannot happen. Understood? So anyway, this concept is called as method overloading. Okay, how it executes and all that. Now you might have a question. This is becoming a big headache. It's more confusing. Earlier only was better. What? Giving different name, invoke whatever you want. Yes or no? So now, generally, you tell the answer now. Is it, see, OOPS is giving you polymorphism. In polymorphism, there is something called as method overloading. So end of the day, we know that OOPS is providing us very good features for what? Reusing and avoiding complexity. Means, polymorphism also has been provided for what? Reusing and avoiding complexity. In polymorphism again, overloading has been provided for what? Reusing and avoiding complexity. Yes or no? But isn't this increasing our complexity? That is what you are feeling. Because you are not thinking from the right perspective. Okay. Overloading is actually very user friendly. It is very easy. You are only making it complicated. But if I tell you the scenario, now overloading will become easy for you. Let's see now when exactly we do overloading. Understood? What is means the question is, see, all of you know theoretically what is overloading. Theoretically you will tell very fine. What? Having multiple methods with same name is called, with change in parameter is called as overloading. Very clearly you will tell off. There is no doubt about it. Why do you do overloading? No answer. When do you do overloading? No answer. So these are the other questions next week we get. So these questions will start answering now. Okay, why do you do? When do you do? How do you do? You know now. And how do you do overloading? You do overloading in a class data type. What is overloading? See, these are the questions you should get now. If I take any topic, what is it? When is it? Why is it? How is it? Means what is overloading? When is overloading? Why is overloading? These are the questions you should get. Always you know the answer for what is everything. What is encapsulation? You have the answer. What is inheritance? You have the answer. Okay, what is overloading? You have the answer. Anything for what you are having answers. You fail to answer these questions, and that is what I am trying to train you now. Why you do overloading? When you do overloading? How you do overloading? What over? When over? How you do overloading? We do overloading in a class. That's it. Using the class data type, I can do overloading. Method overloading, I can do it in a class. Okay, next questions are why and when. Why do you do overloading? When do you do overloading? All that we'll start seeing now. Okay. See, now let's take one scenario. You know what is absolute value? What is absolute value? What is absolute value? Huh? What is absolute value of a number? Positive whole number, no? Or whole number? Positive whole number. Anyway, see, there are so many values. Okay, and for all that we want to calculate the absolute value. If I ask you to write the logic, we will write. Generally, how do you write the logic? In C, they have written the logic for absolute value. Okay, for calculating the absolute value of int, they have got a function called as abs. They call it as function, we call it as method. Okay, for calculating the absolute value of float, they have a function called as fabs. Okay, and for calculating the absolute value of long, they have a function called as labs. This is what they do. So the functionality is same. All the functions are doing what? Calculating absolute value. Means the task is similar. Functionality is same, means the task is similar. But for the same task, you are remembering how many function names are. 1, 2, 3. Means you'll be passing an argument of type int here. Here you'll be passing an argument of type float. Here you'll be passing an argument of type long. These are the arguments. But function name is also changing, as well as the parameter also changes. So you have to remember the function name and the parameter also. Big headache. But what does Java say? Whenever the functionality is same, you don't go on remembering so many names. Instead, when the functionality is same, okay, sometimes what will happen, no, you want to do similar task, but change means with different input parameters. With different, same task you want to do, but with different input parameters. If it is coming as int, that method should execute. If it is coming as float, means the name will be same now. So what in Java we can do, don't bother about the logic, just see this logic here. I'll have something called as abs, and here I'll write something like int. I'll have one more function, abs, and I here have write something like float a. Then I'll have one more function called as abs. Then I'll have double d. Like this you can write more functions. But all the function names are same. So for one task, you are remembering one name. But which one gets executed depends on the argument what you pass. It will match with the parameter and that gets executed. So this is one brilliant feature of polymorphism. Okay. So actually it helps you to reduce remembering the name of many methods for a similar task. For a similar task, instead of remembering many function names, it's better you can remember only one name. Understood? And which method gets executed depends on the input parameter, what argument you are giving. Okay, what argument you give, that method gets executed. So polymorphism is actually avoiding what now? Now you can see, you are thinking actually polymorphism is increasing complexity. But now you can see polymorphism is decreasing complexity. It is not increasing complexity, only your perspective should change. Okay, if you take scenario and start understanding why they are doing it, you'll start understanding very clearly. Are you clear with this now? So, overloading is always done when the functionality is same. Overloading should always be done when the functionality is same. Understood? But change in parameter. Functionality will be same, means similar task but with different input parameter. Similar task means what? Some logic. You'll be writing some logic. But that logic will depend on the parameter what you send now. So instead of having multiple function names to remember, see now, remembering many function names is easier or for the same task? Remembering many function names is easier for the same task or single function name? Single function name. It's easy. So that's what. Polymorphism helps you to reduce complexity. Okay, remember one more thing now. When the functionality is different, do not overload. Do not overload a method when the functionality is different. Like yesterday we wrote a method, two methods I wrote. What are the two methods I wrote? Just now I wrote now. I typed. One is fun method, one is volume method. They are completely containing different logic. One method is containing what? Initialization logic. Another method is containing what? Volume calculation logic. They are so different. In that case, do not overload, because now the users will get confused. Understood? So you should not go on using the same name when there is different logic. Even though you can do it, I could have named it. One I could have named fun. Another, see, I just wrote the code. I'll be showing you. Okay, I wrote one fun with 3 parameters. Another method also I could have written fun with what? No parameter. If I call fun, it will definitely execute without parameter. But fun is giving the volume. We know that. But actually, I can use it. But a class written by me will be used by others. And now they find it very difficult to remember now. Because for different functionality, you are giving the same name. Now for which functionality to call which method, they'll get confused. Because that time they have to go on remembering what? Parameters. Ulta it will become. For volume, means for calculating volume, they should call the fun method without parameter. For initializing, they have to call fun method with 3 int parameter. Now remembering parameter becomes very difficult. Understood? Because you have to remember the parameters now. If you want that logic to execute, name will be same. Okay, but the parameters you have to remember now. Remembering parameters also is very difficult. Okay, so you should ideally balance the situation and choose whether to overload or whether not to overload. Java is giving you the option. So generally overloading is always done when the functionality is similar, and it should never ever be done when the functionality is different. Never be done. Understood? Are you clear with this? Supposingly, one more scenario you can take. This is one scenario. I want to add 2 numbers. I want to add 3 numbers. I want to add 4 numbers. So instead of going for M1 method, M2 method, M3 method, which will take 2 parameters, 3 parameters, 4 parameters, what you can do? You can write on, see, this is class hello. A class name can be anything. See, one option is you want to add 2 numbers. So int A, int B. You will have a return type, definitely. Yes or no? Okay, whether you have or not, that's secondary now. We'll make it as void only. Int C is equal to A plus B. And you can print SOP, sum of both numbers is plus C. You can print it. Yes or no? You can print it, not an issue. Similarly, I'll have one more method, void M2, which will have the sum of 3 numbers. But the method name is what? M2. Same logic you'll write. C is equal to what? Oh, sorry. Int, I'll take Z here. Z is equal to A plus B. Int Z. Z is equal to A plus B plus C. Again, you can have a print. Again I'll write void M3. Int A, int B, int C, int D. Now again I have to write int Z. Z is equal to A plus. Functionality is same, but the change is only in the parameter. So in this case you overload, because it will be difficult for you to remember many method names. Many method names, yes or no? Many method names you have to remember now. So instead of that you can go with, you have to remember the method name also, plus you have to remember parameter also, both. If you call M1, you should know you should send 2 arguments. If you call M2, you should send 3 arguments. If you call M3, you should send 4 arguments. Name also you should remember, parameter also you should remember. How many and all that, order and all you have to remember. But when functionality is same, if you name it same, no need of remembering the name. Only you should remember what now? Parameters. This will be an advantage for you. Understood? You don't have to remember the name. Okay. But never do this when the functionality is different. Like one method is adding, one method is dividing, one method is multiplying. That is dangerous, because that time it becomes what? Full confusion now. See this. Class hello. So add method is there. Fine. It will add 2 numbers. Now for multiply also, if I write void add, what will happen? It will be confusing now. So here I will write the logic. Int C or int A is equal to x plus y, and I can print it. But here what will I do? Int A is equal to x into y. Anyway, it will give an error only, because same. Okay, let's say instead of this I'll take one add and one square root I'll take. Instead of this we'll take square root. That will be very clear. See now, I want to calculate the square root of a number. So that also, if I name it as what? I'll write some logic here, don't worry. Okay. But if I'm going to write the logic, but the name of the function is what? Both add only. Now for square root also you're having the same name. For addition also you're having the same name. Now difficulty is what? You have to remember the parameter. If I call add with 1 int, it will execute square root. If I call add with 2 ints, then it will execute addition. This is one headache now. So it will create confusion for you. So you should know how to balance between these two now. Okay. It's very simple. Balancing is very simple. How do you balance it? When functionality is same, overload. When functionality is different, do not overload. What is the big thing about balancing here? Understood now? When the functionality is same, overload. When the functionality is different, do not overload. Over. Such a simple concept. And overloading in fact is helping you to avoid what? Complexity. It is helping you to avoid complexity. Nothing else. Clear? It is not increasing complexity. It is actually decreasing complexity. It is the other way around. Initially when you saw it, it was looking confusing. But by the time we finish the class, it looks what? Comfortable. Okay. Are you clear with this? Shall I clear these 2 classes? Class hello, class hello? Okay. So next, we'll finish off overloading. Then I'll type and show it for you. See now I'll add one more method. Int test. Look at the last method, 6th method. Int test. Int A. So the 6th method I am writing, carefully observe. This method is having a parameter of type int. This method is having a parameter of type int, but plus it's having a return type. You write any logic there. Compulsory you have to return what? One int value there. Right? Whatever you want. So what I'll do? Int P. P is equal to A into A. You print SOP whatever you want. Okay. But I have to return a value. Return P. Now there are 2 values. A value is also there. P value is also there. Either one you return. Either you return A or you return P. It depends on which value you want to give to the caller. It depends on which value you want to give to the caller. And we had seen earlier some methods. Which are the methods? h.test 9.1 comma 2. This was executing 4th one, no? Okay, and we had written one more method, h.test 10, 20, 30. So this was giving error. All this is clear. Now you know which one is. See, this is calling first one, this is calling third one, this is calling 4th one, this is calling error, this is giving error. But if I call a method h.test and if I pass a value 5 and I'll accept the return type, which method gets executed? it is error. It will not execute the sixth one, because criteria for overloading is what? Number, order and data type. So now ambiguity will come, confusion will come, whether to execute the second one or whether to execute the sixth one. Return type doesn't play a role. That was what I was telling you. Return type doesn't play a role. See, forget the left side. When you are seeing an assignment operator, first forget the left side. First right hand side should execute now. Okay, forget the left hand side. So it has to execute the right side. This method has to be invoked. Among the two methods, which method has to be executed is depending on only what? Number, order and type, and both are same. So you'll get an error. You'll get an error. Okay, it is unable to decide which one to execute only. Only if it decides to execute, then it can execute and return a value. But the question is, there is no question of decision only. So when it is unable to decide, it cannot execute the sixth one. So it gives you an error. So that clearly shows return type doesn't play a role in overloading. Return type doesn't play a role in overloading. It doesn't play a role. Always criteria for overloading is only these three: number, order and data type. So this does not play a role. Okay, I want this method to execute now. What should I do? You have only one option. You have to remove the second method. It will execute. If you want that statement to execute, you can remove the second method. Now it will decide very clearly. It will execute the sixth one, and yes, it will return a value. You can accept it. What will be the value? 25. SOP Z will be 25 because you are multiplying both and returning the value. Getting it now? As simple as this. Okay. Now my question is, now again, means you have to remove the second method. Only then that will execute, because you need a return type now. You are accepting the return type there. That's why you have to remove what? See, if you want to execute now, this line only if you want to execute, you have to remove one or the other method there. Either second one you have to remove or the sixth one. But which one will you remove? It is better you remove the second, because we need the return value. If I remove the sixth one, again it will give me error. It can decide to execute the method, but problem is it can execute, but we are expecting a value. That method is not giving a value. So that's why it will give an error if you remove the sixth one. You should understand this now. Okay, if you remove the sixth one, it gives an error. Why it gives an error? Sorry, I just made a mistake, I think. So if you remove the sixth method, you get an error. Because if you call the method after removing the sixth one, obviously it decides to execute the second one. But second one is not returning a value now. I made a mistake, I think, previously. Just rectify that. See, I don't know, just getting confused. So see this, if I call h.test, again I am repeating now, I want this line to execute. But if you want this to execute, I want a return type. So there are two methods, second and sixth one. One of that I have to remove now. If I remove second, sixth will execute correctly. Why? Method is decided, return type you will get and you will accept. But if I remove sixth one, it will decide to execute the method. It can execute, but problem is you are not getting the value. Incompatible type error you will get. Okay, are you clear with this? Okay, but in this line, h.test, I will not accept the return type. Which one should I comment now, or which one should I remove? Second or sixth? Any one. You can remove the second one or you can remove the sixth one. Here no problem. Here compulsory you have to remove which method? Here you have to compulsory remove second method. Here you can remove any method. Why means, see this. When I call, if I remove the second method, it will definitely execute the sixth one. Is there any mandatory rule to accept the return type? No, it will execute. Accepting a return type is not mandatory. Understood? So it will execute. Okay, if I write z is equal to, what will happen now? Just follow the thing now. You can remove any method. First I will remove. Here any method you can remove. You can remove second one or sixth one. Okay, see z.test. Now compulsory you have to remove what? Second one only. If you want to accept, you have to remove second one only. But in this case, you remove second. Sixth one will execute. But it is giving a value, you are not accepting. Okay. Understood now? You remove the second method. Sixth one will execute, but it is returning a value, you are not accepting. I will remove the sixth one. That time what happens? Second one executes, we are not accepting the value, still it executes. Anything can be removed. Are you following this? Is this clear? Little confusing, understand it. See, if I call this method, first I'll remove which one? Okay, first I'll remove this one. Second one. If I remove, which one will execute? Sixth one will execute. It is returning a value, I am not accepting. Fine, correct now, but still. It will execute sixth. It is executing sixth now. Correct. Fine, next I'll remove sixth method. It is called, it is executing. It is not returning a value, fine, we are not accepting one. But it will execute. Second one it will execute. As simple as this. Miss, here why I am telling you that is, return type doesn't play a role in overloading. Always the decision is taken on number, order and data type itself. Are you clear with this? So you have to put it into coding and see all this now. Understood? You have to put it into coding and see all this. And one more small important concept is there which we'll cover at the end of the class. After I type and show you this. Are you clear with this? Anything now? Any questions you are having? I have to put it into typing and show you. Nothing else. Understood? Shall I clear all this? Okay. So do you have any questions here?
So if you try to pass two double values now, it will give an error.
Okay, she wants to send two double values. H.test 6.1, 7.5. Error na?
But auto mentioned like implicit.
I told you we'll talk at the end of the class. Okay. Is this error? Why is this error now? There are no two double. Understood? So this is how it basically works. So we'll type this and see, and then we'll go and continue with what? The next part of overloading. Clear this? And see, all the OOPS features what you have got, they help you to reuse and avoid complexity in a very high level. That's the main intention of OOPS. They want you to write bigger programs by avoiding complexity plus reusing also. You can reuse your code. Reusing is, see, here we avoided complexity. Reusing is nothing but what? I have encapsulated all this code in the class now. What will I do whenever I want? I'll create the object, start using it. So we are doing encapsulation for what? Reusing. I can use this code in any operating system of the world. Okay. So now to do encapsulation and to do polymorphism, which data type I am choosing now? Class data type. As simple as that. Okay. So one by one we will learn OOPS like this itself. We are not going to learn OOPS theoretically. Telling what? Generally you have idea about OOPS in a very different way. Theoretically you have. There is an engine, car is there, something like that you know. Okay. I can't tell you that now. We'll see that later. But actually OOPS generally you know like that. But that's not the way to learn OOPS. OOPS has to be learned programmatically. In program, what is encapsulation? In a program, what is polymorphism? So we have to learn OOPS in that way. Understood? So that's what we are trying to do now. So we can start typing now. File new Java. I'll go with class hello. Sorry. Overload demo. And your folder name can be what? 16 I'll give overload. Overload demo. Sorry, I made a mistake I think. Okay, anyway, change the name. Overload demo you do. So then next what you do? Class void test int a value of a is, here you can take one more. Next method I have taken which one? Which is the next method I have taken? Int a and double d. You can take value of a and d is plus a plus d. value of double D and int A. Value of D and A is so first understand this, and one more method we'll have now. This is double D. So we are having multiple methods with the same name, but the difference is in parameters. So overloading is always done when you want to do similar task but with different input parameters. Remember this first. So value of double D is, or D is plus A. Okay, sorry. Value of D is, you can print any variable, plus D. You can print more clear statements. Just because I don't have space here for visibility, I'm just printing small statements. So now what we'll do, to work with that, we have to say hello H is equal to new hello. Then you can call the methods H dot, which one you want to call. See, I'll just create the object. I'll just create the object and I'll execute this. Let's see this. Everything works. I just created the object. I'm still not using the object. You can start using the object now. Once the object is created, H dot test. Fine. It works. Compile, executes. No params. First method is getting executed. H dot test. I'll pass one 8. Any value pass. So it will execute that. Compile, HT. So compile it and execute. 8 gets executed. Which one? This is the one which is getting executed. If you want to put more print value, single int, that prints you put. Okay. And then if I pass H dot test, I'll pass 3.5 comma 7. So which method gets, sorry, 3.5 comma 7. So now which method gets executed? Value of D and A. Value of D and A is which one? See, A and D is not getting executed. D and A is getting executed. So double and int. So here first method got executed. Here second one gets executed. Here fourth one is getting executed. H dot test. I'll say 9.3 comma any value you can, sorry, I'll send 9 comma 8.3. Fine, any value send. Now here which method gets executed? And the binding happens when? Compilation time. Okay, 9 and 8.3 prints. And finally H dot test. This is an error. 10 comma 20 comma 30 is an error. Compile, it finds the error. When it is reporting the error during compilation time. Understood? So this is how it works. Are you clear with this? Are you clear? So now we'll list all the topics of overloading. Oh sorry, one second. I didn't show you about return type. I didn't show you about return type. That also I'll show you. So anyway, you saw that compilation error now? Okay. So when the match doesn't happen, the error is reported during compilation time itself. So I'll show you the return type. Meanwhile, see this. Now overloading, so polymorphism is of two types. Compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. We are not discussing anything about runtime now, leave it. Compile time. Compile time polymorphism is also known as method overloading. In Java, compile time polymorphism is supported with the help of method overload. It is supported with the help of method overloading. Understood? Compile time is supported like this. This is also known as early binding. Why it is called as early binding? Which method? Because which method to execute is binded at the early stage, not at runtime. Runtime means late stage. Here compilation only it will be decided. That's why it's called as early binding. It binds at the compilation phase itself. That is why it is also known as compile time polymorphism. Understood? Compile time polymorphism means which method to execute is decided at compilation time itself, not at runtime. So that is also known as early binding. And if you want to do compile time polymorphism or method early binding, Java is supporting that with the help of method overloading. Now what is method overloading? Having multiple method names with the same name but change in parameters. Okay, so then this is early binding. Then next, it is also known as static polymorphism. One more word, we'll see it later why it's called. Okay, and here the criteria for this is number, order and data type. This is based on these grounds only it will execute. Criteria, which one gets executed is this three. One point here, return type doesn't play a role, which we'll be seeing now. Does not play a role. I'll show you that with code itself. Does not play a role. And last thing, when do you do overloading? When the functionality is same. So always you overload a function or a method when the functionality is similar but change in parameter. Remember this. So this is when you overload. This topic we'll be seeing later. Understood? Runtime polymorphism will be saying later. So this is what is method overloading. Understood? The question can be twisted in many ways. And one topic I have not explained is static polymorphism, which I'll be covering later. When I teach you dynamic polymorphism, I'll explain. Clear? The dynamic polymorphism is related to runtime. I'll explain it to you there. So all these are the same answers, but the question can be twisted to you in any way. Clear? Okay, just I show you now return type. See this, I'll add one more extra method now. I'll add one more extra method. Int test. And the parameter is of type what? Int a. So you write whatever logic you want, that is your wish. Int p is equal to 0. P is equal to a into a or multiply to whatever you want. But there are two values. I will return one value. But you can print system.out.println. You can write value of p is plus p. Fact is, let's see, we compile it. I'm not still calling it. Let's compile, let's see what is the problem. Sorry, one second. So already it is telling it's defined. Compiler will not allow you to write one more method with same parameter but change. It will not allow you only, first of all. Understood? First of all, it will not allow you. Okay. But still, if I write it and try to call also, this is your mistake. In spite of getting that error, what are you doing? You are trying to call it by saying h dot test of. Why it is giving the error earlier? Because in the same scope, we are having two methods with the same name and same parameter. Only change is in return type. Compiler treats this as overloading only. And in overloading, it will only check name and parameter. It will not be checking return type. So it gives you the error, first of all. Okay, so that's the reason now. See, if I call this now, forget all these methods now. These methods you forget. So here you will get an error. Ambiguity error you will get, same error, it continues, is already defined. Once it's already defined, some error it gives you. So if you want this line to execute now, compulsory among the two methods, which one? This one and this one, you have to remove one. But my question is, I want to execute this line only. If you want to execute this line, you have to remove the second one only. There is no other option for you. You can't remove the sixth one. I'll show you by removing the sixth one. It will give error. So this will work now, and I can print value of z is so it will print value of z is. Value of p also it prints. I'm returning a, sorry, return p. So it will print 25 and 25. P also it prints in this one. But see, I will not accept still valid code. Sorry, I can't use z this time. Whether you accept or not, that method is getting executed now. So if you want to call, see, this one will execute, and it will execute which one now? That same method is executing. Fine. So now, see, but if I comment, means the thing is, okay, let me come back to this itself. Int z is equal. Let me come back to this. Okay, see now, I want to accept the return type. That's why I commented the second one. It will execute. It is executing fine. But if I comment the sixth one, what will happen? I'll comment the sixth one. What will happen? Error. Why it will give an error? Because it will decide it can execute that. But the problem is, The return type is void. That's the problem. Return type is the problem. So that's the reason if you want to accept the return type, you have to comment which one? Second one only. You can't comment the sixth one. Means if you want to write this line only, compulsory you have to comment second one only. But if you want to write this line, now you can comment any one. You comment the second one or you comment the sixth one. It's not an issue. So now second one will execute because we are not accepting the return type. I'll comment the second one. Right, till now we had commented what? Sixth one. Now I'll comment second and I'll enable sixth. Now it will execute which one? Sixth one. But it is returning a value, but we are not accepting the value. To execute this line, you can comment any line, second one or sixth one. Are you clear with this? Are you clear with this? So return type doesn't play a role in resolving a overloaded methods call. It will not resolve it. The resolution will happen only based on number, order and data type. Are you clear with this? Okay, next. There is a auto promotion rule which will come into picture here. You understood the basics of overloading. See, and this is clear now. Compile time, overloading, early binding, static, criteria is this. And we also always do it when functionality is same but change in parameter. Okay. Now, overloading in Java, method overloading. I'm telling method overloading. In Java, depends on three things. This is very important now. Basic overloading, you know, all of you know this. Okay. So, but this is very important. Method overloading in Java depends on three things. One is your primitive data types. We have seen it very well now, but still we have to cover little. I'll cover it. Primitive types. Second one is you have to see overloading in wrapper classes, which we don't know. We'll be seeing it later. We have to see overloading in three things now: primitive data types, wrapper classes, and one more is in var args. Var args. VARARGS. This is a new feature in Java 1.5. So we have to study overloading in these two things also, which we'll be doing later. Understood? You have to understand what is overloading in wrapper classes, with wrapper classes, overloading with var args. We'll be seeing this. So overloading has to be in method overloading in Java depends on three things. Okay, or can be done based on primitive types, wrapper classes, var args. We'll be seeing this. This almost I will complete off now. One more example I give, it's over. I have to just show you auto promotion rules. If I show you auto promotion rules, it's over. These two we'll keep it pending, and when I complete wrapper classes, again I'll teach you overloading there. When I complete var args, I'll teach you overloading there. So overloading is still pending. Don't think it is over. We'll be covering it later. Also, this is basic. To start off overloading, this is basics. Clear this? So fine. So now I'll just give you some more information about which one? Auto promotion. See this. Class hello. Very interesting it is. Same program will take void test. Int, okay, without any parameter I'll take. No params. Void test. Int a. SOP. Value of int a is plus a. Void test. Double D. Value of double D is plus T. So I have written three methods. One with no parameter, one with int, one with double. So let's see how to use this. Class demo. PSVM. See this. Hello h is equal to new hello. We have created the object. After creating the object, I'll call h.test. The first one gets executed. We know that h.test, which one 5 gets, second one gets executed. H.test 9.1. So here first method is executed, here second one gets executed, here third method gets, no issue. But if I remove this second method, only two methods are there now. Now let's take this one now, and I'll call this method. What will happen? It will execute because of auto promotion. If found, it will execute int. If not found, it will go with the higher type. This one now will execute which one now? Third method it will execute. Auto promotion will happen. Promotion will happen in the method call. Okay, but small value can go to bigger value. Big value cannot go to smaller value. That rule you know now. That's why typecasting I covered in so much depth. Understood? So now see, this when you call h dot test, and if second method is not there, if it is not there, then it will call which one? Third method. But I'll keep second method, I'll remove third method. This will work, this will execute the second one, but this will give me error because you are trying to give a bigger value to smaller one. This is called as auto promotion rules. Auto promotion rules also will be applied in method overloading. It will be applied. So we discussed about overloading. We have to discuss overloading in Java on three things. One with primitive data types, second one is with wrapper classes, third one is with var args. I completed primitive types, means overloading with primitive data types. Then we'll see with wrapper classes, then we'll go with var args. Clear? So this, if you want me to type and show, I'll show you and we'll finish it. That's it. Okay, so are you clear with this? You can try it now. That one you can try. So auto promotion rule is possible. Smaller value can go to bigger, but bigger value will not be put into smaller parameter. Means if your argument is small, simple as this. If your argument is small, that can be accepted by a bigger parameter. But if your argument is big, it cannot be accepted by a smaller parameter. As simple as this. Okay. So parameter and argument. Parameter small, argument big, valid. A simple table. Okay. Parameter big. Sorry, this is not possible. Parameter is small, argument is big, not possible. But parameter is big, argument is small. This is possible, and it will happen with the help of auto promotion because your argument is small. And here you will be getting what you know. If you print h dot test 5.0, it will print. It will be auto promoted. You are sending int, but here you will be getting it as, sorry. If you remove the second one, and if you send the 5 h dot test 5, third method gets executed. We know that, but the value of d will be 5.0. It is used as double here. It will be auto promoted and sent. Understood? Value is same, but it has got a 64-bit. Value will be same, but it will be using 64. Same value, you know, now. Local, man. If you are getting confused, go back to local. Main int a is equal to 5, double d is equal to a. You know what happens now? Same thing, but a to d is not possible now. There it is in local scope. You are assigning the value. Here they are in a different scope. We are sending the value as argument and parameter. Sending the value as argument and parameter is nothing but assigning only. But we call them as arguments and parameters. Same it is. So this will be possible with the help of auto promotion. If your parameter is big and argument is small, it is possible. But if your parameter is small and argument is big, it is not possible. Check this out. Clear? Okay. So this completes method overloading with primitive data types. Still wrapper classes and whereas is pending. Okay? Okay. Now one more topic. What is the next topic? Operator overloading. Yes or no? Operator overloading. Operator overloading is not supported by Java. There are three overloadings. One is method overloading, constructor overloading, operator overloading. My constructor will be seeing tomorrow, don't forget it. Operator overloading is not supported by Java. Why it is not supported? That we will discuss. It's a small topic, it's not supported. Why it is not supported, we'll finish it off. Okay. Are you clear with all this? See in C++ what is happening? that language is supporting operator overloading concept. It is supporting. Means if you use the plus operator in C++ can be made to multiply or divide. You can do anything with that. Understood? You can modify it. The default behavior of plus is by the language. C++ is giving you plus. Default behavior of plus in C++ is addition. But if you want, and it is used as arithmetic operator, but you can change the behavior of that operator itself to do anything. You can use it as any operator and do any operation. But what happens is you will do it, but the other users in the program will find it very difficult now. The other users in the program will find it what? Very difficult. See this now. There is a program. Public static void main, int a is equal to 1, int b is equal to 2, and I'll be writing, or okay, 10 and 2 I'll write. Okay, and int c is equal to a plus b, SOP c. Generally you'll predict the answer to be 12, generally when you see the code. But in C++ you can't predict it so easily. It can be 20, it can be 8, it can be anything. Because anybody can change the behavior of this plus operator. So that was actually, they thought when the support was given by C++, when they were building the language, they thought giving this support would be beneficial. But later on, developers found it very difficult. They gave it, but developers were finding it very difficult. So Java realized that giving operator overloading in Java will be a difficult thing for the developer. So now see, we are trying to learn OOPS, and we are trying to learn OOPS with the help of what? Java language. Now if not Java, you would have gone to learn OOPS in what? C++. In C++ you learn all this and come, and in Java when you come I'll tell this is not supported. Now what happens? You feel really bad now. You'll spend around 1 week time there, and then it is removed in Java means we obviously feel bad because you have put so much of effort. That's why I'm telling you OOPS can be learned directly in Java itself. We are learning encapsulation, you are learning polymorphism. Very comfortably we are learning. Understood? Very comfortably we are learning. And this is the drawback. Operator overloading, this is the drawback. So that's why, because see, throughout our life, 22 years we do our education, and plus has been read as addition only. Suddenly the behavior changes, it's very difficult for anybody to digest it. Understood? That too, if it is changing in one way, no problem. You can make it divide also, multiply also, anything you can do. That's when we face the problems. That is why Java eliminated the support for operator. It's a refined language. Whatever the problems of C and C++ were there, they removed it. And finally, they came with, they removed it. And that's why operator overloading is not supported by Java. But fact is, one operator which is overloaded by Java language itself, we cannot overload, developer cannot overload, but language only is overloading it. That is plus in Java. Okay, it's an overloaded operator. Only the one overloaded operator in Java done by the language is plus. And we have discussed more about this. Okay, so it is overloaded. How it is overloaded means, we'll be discussing this in depth later when I'm talking about string. Okay, see, if your data type is of type numeric, Java will do addition. It will do addition. Int c is equal to a plus b. Here it is doing what? Addition. Again, if it is double also, double a or double x is equal to 1.1, double y is equal to 2.2, double z. Here the values are of type what? Numeric. It will do the addition. Here it is correct, here it is correct. So the runtime environment, that is JVM, it checks during runtime. Okay, if the operands, these are operands now, A and B are operands, X and Y are operands. If the operands are of type numeric, it will do the addition. It will check and it will do it. But by chance, I will have something like boolean I, boolean j is equal to true, is equal to false. Now you try to say I plus j, what is the result? You cannot add these things, so it will give you error. This is syntax errors. If it is numeric, it will add. If these things, it will give error. Okay, but it can detect. The JVM has having that capacity. And forget JVM. Okay, the compiler only will give you the error here. Understood? So this is an error. These two are correct. But now see this. String S1 is equal to hello. String S2 is equal to world. Now I want to, I'll say use the plus operator. Don't think you have to put circle. Huh? I'll use the plus operator. Now return type I'll say, sorry, I'll accept string S3. So if you print SOP S3, this time it will be hello world. So here it is concatenating. So your operand is of type string. So when it is of type string, it will append. When it is of type numeric, it will perform arithmetic operation. Their arithmetic operation here, appending it will do. Understood? Their arithmetic operation here it will do appending. Okay, and this is a very interesting interview question which you face. String S1 is equal to 10 in double quotes. String S2 is equal to 20 in double quotes. I think I have discussed this. Okay, string S3 is equal to S1 plus S2. What is the output? 1020. Because it is not doing addition, because the operands are of type string, it will do concatenation. And if you really want to do the addition, you have to convert the string to numeric type and then do the addition. So how will you do that? Yes, we have discussed this. Okay, there is built-in method. Int, I can take anything. L is equal to integer dot parseInt. See, this is library what you are using. Don't bother. Integer is a built-in class. ParseInt is a method. I'll be explaining this later. I'll send the argument of type string. Return type of that is int. I'll be discussing this later. Same way, int m is equal to integer dot parseInt of s2. Then int n is equal to l plus m. So here it was concatenating, but here it will do addition, and SOP n will print the result as 30. Here it prints 1020. Plus is the only overloaded operator. If both are string, it will do appending. If both are int, it will do addition or numeric. One string, one int, concatenation. One string and one int also concatenation. Okay, you see in the output now, value of a is plus a. Value of a is what? String. Plus a is what? Int. So value of a, that value will be, means that string value will be appended with a value and it will print. That's your normal print what you use. SOP, value of a is plus a. So value of a is string, plus a is what? Integer. So you are using plus operator there. So string with int is concatenation. Yes or no? See this output. SOP, value of a is plus a. Generally print. So this is string. This is int. So what happens now? String plus int is concatenation. Yeah? Int and int addition. So they are overloading. Why? For the benefit of the developer. They are for the benefit. So plus is the only overloaded operator which Java is providing you. I will not allow you to overload any operator. Understood? Any questions on this? So you can work with these things. Clear? Boolean error means, because how do you add a boolean and boolean value? True and false, how will you add? No question of adding. So it's crystal clear. What should be supported, Java is supporting very clearly. What should not be supported, it's not supporting. As simple as that. There's no confusion, there's no doubt only. Like it's clear. Clarity is there. Clear? So method overloading done, operator overloading done. Tomorrow we'll see constructor and we'll continue with constructor overloading. Parallelly we'll see both. Okay, so are you clear with this? Any questions? You can type this now. I've typed this, all these programs I've typed earlier. Understood? So you can type and get the output. Okay, that's it. So this is polymorphism and overloading.